Hi, I'm Panda Hershey with Your Full Expression. Welcome to the May 3rd Coffee and Charts call, where we talk about how it's so important to pay attention to where we are showing up right now and opening our awareness to what restructuring is going to happen to our presence, our tools, or attachments over the next 12 months. Mercury is in retrograde motion until May 14th or 15th, but that's really in the backdrop right now. What's important to pay attention to are the hints of the growth that we're going to experience starting in about mid-June, and also the restructuring that we've been experiencing over the last 12 months, followed by deeper restructuring or hints of it that are going to continue over the next 12 months. The way I describe it is that this year we are going to be breaking the barriers to our growth. And all of this comes to us just before Mercury starts to move forward on May 14th and 15th. There's a lot more detail on the call. As always, we watch the movement of the planets and I point out some key days to pay attention to. I also mentioned on the call that I'll be offering a free Zoom webinar on Saturday, May 13th, for you to learn how you'll be breaking through the barriers for your own growth. And if you're interested in joining me, just click on the link below in the YouTube description or hit the button in the email that sent you to this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side. It's so great to see you guys, to see some familiar faces on this very cold day. And, I just want to say it has been absolutely chaotic and crazy over the last few days. A lot of rescheduling. It was so funny, just this whole thinking about where I have to be and where I ended up being. And then clearly other people have places they need to be. And, I had so many people reschedule, even my dentist rescheduled with me, and that never happens. So, it's good to be forewarned and just to know that it's happening and I get to roll with it. And if it means I'm in bed all day, then that's fine. But sorry, drop my stuff here. And as far as like tools and resources, I had to get my bathroom sink taken care of. Gosh, what else? Anyway, as I was mentioning to a few of you who were on the call before I started recording, when the sun crosses over your rising sign, and it's called the rising sign because the sky is rising, but you are being left behind. You're being left behind under the covers. So when the sun crosses over, you will be, depending on your sign, for me it's Taurus, so there you have it. I am under the covers. But you'll want to be on your own. And everyone, I think, benefits from knowing when that day is for themselves. And if you don't know your day and you're on this call or watching the replay, email me. I will give it to you so you can put it on your calendar and schedule it, and probably be grateful that you created that space for you to have that time under the covers. So anyway, here we are. Monday, Pluto stationed retrograde at 0 degrees, 22 minutes of Aquarius, but it really stays in that one spot for about 10 days. We'll see that it's still at 0 degrees, 22 minutes until a few days from now when it ticks down to 21 minutes. But, this is this time where we're taking our last looks kind of over that edge to see the landscape ahead of us. And then we're going to back off, and changes will start to back off. And it doesn't mean that there aren't ripple effects from the changes that have happened, but it does mean that, if you've been pushing for changes or if someone in your world has been pushing for changes, that it's not going to be with the flow to ask for additional changes on top of it. So it's, if one of the things that you've decided for your life is, I'm going to take one day out of the office from here on out, because this is what's happened for me over the last few couple months. Okay, so you don't want to ask for two, but you could say, we're going to stay with that one day a week off, but I'm going to shift it to this way, or I'm going to break it up in a certain way to get my equivalent of my one day a week off or out of the office. So things like that, if you can think of it that way. And so it will start to back away. It crosses back. Pluto will move back into Capricorn, bringing those structures back into place June 11th, just as Jupiter opens its portal in Taurus. And then we'll have until October 10th to get our act together, figure out what we want to do, and rebuild that structure to a new place for 2024. So that is kind of where we're at this point. So, all right. Let's start looking at the movement of the planets. If I can get my mouse go. Okay, so here we are. And there we go. Today's the day that Venus leaves that Mars portal at 25.5 degrees Gemini. So you've probably gotten some validation that whatever you were working on, whatever magnificent ideas you had from September until March, something in them was right. And the validation came now, and there is further action that will happen. You can see that the sun is going to eventually move its way through. That will happen at the end of May. And then Mercury will also move through. So there will be some action to follow up on that validation that you had. But it's going to take a little time and then some discussion. So just wait for it. And remember that these are the seeds of your growth in 2024, and you'll build your way to it. But let these next couple months be inspiration to keep going, that you're on the right track. All right, so that's just today. And I'm going to keep going here. On the 6th, the sun, which has been ticking through that 6 to 15.5 degrees of Taurus, finishes. And so whatever places you've actually been, wherever you've been putting yourself with your tools, your resources, noticing your attachments, there is some hint of what your growth is in there. Something where, okay, I can pull on that thread and there's more for me by doing that. Or there is a hint of, if I go look into this a little more, it will lead me to my growth. But this goes from, I think it was about April 26th until May 6th. So just keep paying attention to where you are showing up, where you are present. On the 9th begins a little period of time where we start to see some restructuring. So on the 9th, the sun, which has left the Jupiter portal and actually entered on that same day last year's Uranus portal, from the 6th to the 9th, traveled from 15 to 19 degrees of Taurus. And that little part of our life was shaken up over the last year as Uranus moved through that. And you created some space for yourself to grow this year. And this next Uranus portal, which opens in the next 2 weeks, goes from 19 to 23 degrees. And so on May 9th, that will be the day where you start to live into, oh, wow, I can almost see the things that need to change for me to be able to grow. And it will initiate that shaking things up. And so as the sun moves through that portal, you can see it moving to, and the portal opens on the 12th, right as the sun is moving through there. On the 13th, it leaves. So the 9th to the 13th, paying attention to what you're doing, that is some indication of what might need to change over the next 12 months, right? Doesn't all happen in those 4 days, but it becomes a hint of, okay, this can be where I need to act or where I need to start implementing some things to change so that I can, what I call, break the barriers to my growth. The next day, if we're in our zone in California or even into New York, across this country, is the day that Mercury stations direct. If you're in Europe, it's actually tomorrow, the 15th. So that's why some of the time differences or the date differences might exist. And then on the 16th, I like to point out these places where things are opposite major portals. So on the 16th, Mars, that excitement, that commitment, is opposite that Pluto work that we are working on, of trying to get to that next level. And I always like to think of oppositions as opportunities for perspective. So Mars will bring like commitment to using our insight. That's our Cancer, our feeling, our instincts, our hunches that are beyond logic of, okay, this could be a really awesome idea. I need to look into this. And it gives me perspective on, ooh, if I pursue this, this could happen. I could create this path or this structure that would lead me to the next level. And so I hope that makes sense, but Mars will do that for about 3 or maybe it's 5 days. And so paying attention to those days as inspiration, and they're coming on the heels of what's shifting, right? Of that Uranus energy of things getting shaken up, that there will be inspiration that you can't get now. You have to go through that other stuff for it to arrive for you. And then on the 17th, we meet again. So one thing to point out on the 17th is notice how much is here in Taurus. We've got the sun, Uranus, Mercury, Jupiter. It's hard to see. They can't squish all the little symbols together, but I've got the colors. And the moon is zipping through here, kind of buzzing each energy to say, ooh, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. So a lot from the 17th to the 19th of paying attention to where you are and what you're doing and how you're going to be shaking it up. All right, let's go back. All right. And notice during this time, you'll be able to see Mercury go backward and then start to very slowly move forward. Yeah, you won't be able to see it move forward by the time. It'll still be very stationary at 6 degrees. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so just looking through the retrograde portal guide, you've got your playbook, take a look at it. That Pluto portal, the one where this is our New Year's resolution for the year. We're trying to get ourselves to the next level. That, station retrograde just a couple days ago, but we're still feeling it very stationary right now. Identifying where in your life you're trying to get yourself to that next level, where the structures that you have are just not going to take you where you need to go. And so, still thinking about what have I learned up to this point, and still thinking about how I'm showing up is relating to the new me that I need to be for 2024. But then adding in this question of from May 16th to the 20th, with Mars being across from it and giving some perspective on, some commitment or excitement about an idea that maybe comes from nowhere except from within you, to say, if I tried this, maybe this will get me where I need to go for next year. The Mercury portal, thinking as all, the whole portal is about where you're at. At my last workshop, someone reminded me that the idea of attachment and the attachments we have are just so important to pay attention to. And it will move forward on the 14th, 15th, depending on the time zone that you're in. For us, it's the 14th in the evening. And then as the sun has been moving through this area of the sky, where am I actually showing up with my body, of course, my tools, my attachments, and what hints are there regarding my growth? What am I doing that is something I can pull on, that there's something for me to grow into? And then the Uranus portal. The portal opens on the 12th as the sun is moving through that whole space in the sky. And this is the part of you getting restructured. It's been happening successively, very slowly over time, of how you show up and the tools that you're using. And here we've got the sun moving through and then the portal opening all at the same time. So over these 4-5 days, 9th to the 13th, of just paying attention to what arises at that time, of what needs to change. How can I shake things up? Or how can I continue to deepen the changes I've been making? And so we think about just the overall story for the next 2 weeks. You're recognizing shifts that have been happening over the last year. That was last year's Uranus portal. That's connects this year's growth and this year's change. So somewhere there have been some changes that are bringing those two things together. And imagine that you are planting seeds now that will blossom next spring. So what is it that you need to do to shake things up so that those seeds can actually blossom? And I think that is what will arise over the next couple of weeks. And so just thinking through the energies as they happen over the next 2 weeks, remember that Pluto stationed retrograde. So we'll be able to take a last look at whatever changes have happened since the beginning of the year. And it's time to back away slowly and allow those changes to have their ripple effects, but not push for any more. The sun has been moving through these Mercury and Jupiter portals, which are the same, but just in different time frames, and noticing, where am I showing up? What am I actually putting into motion or manifestation right now that hints at the growth for this year? Then this bridge of the sun leaving the Jupiter portal, the Mercury portal, to travel for a few days through the Uranus portal that's actually finishing up. And it actually finishes up on the 9th. I mean, that's kind of cool, right? And on that, on these few days, where are you seeing the changes that you've made show up in your life? And then it moves through the coming years, the 2023 Uranus portal, to show you what needs to change further. And within that time period, the portal opens. And then Mercury stations direct. It's kind of cool that, you know, everything, all these shifts need to happen. And then you get to say, oh, I have clarity. Okay, now I know what I need to do. Now I know what conversations I need to have. I can go back and make that conversation better, clarify what it is I want, what I need to do, and express that to someone. And I can also get some perspective on what I could try to get to a new place in 2024. So, tips to thrive. So much Taurus energy here over the next couple weeks. So again, just notice where you're showing up and what is pointing toward your growth. It may not be the exact thing, but it's leading you somewhere. There's some thread in there to pull on. And what could impede the growth, and how can you get that shaken up a little bit so that by the time the spring rolls around, it's actually 420 next year, that you'll get to move through that and break through those barriers. And we're still in this Mercury retrograde, and people talk about not making any decisions. But as I like to counsel people, it's okay to make a decision. Just try to make sure you give yourself a little wiggle room to come back and renegotiate. And then, if you're feeling this shift that's going on for you, and it feels absolutely overwhelming because you can't get your arms around what needs to happen, you know, how can you flow with this better and get some guidance on what it is that you're trying to shift? And I'm offering a webinar. Basically what the workshops that I already do, but this is going to be for Uranus, about breaking the barriers to your growth. It's going to be on a Saturday morning at 9:30 on the 13th, just after the portal opens. There's going to be a link when this is posted to YouTube or in the email that I send out. And if you sign up by May 10th with your birth info, then you can have a copy of the workbook that goes along, so you can follow along during the webinar. And this is going to be filmed and recorded to be part of a series of workshops. So I'm going to give this a try and see what happens. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. Notice that it's 8:52, so I did pretty good. Any questions, comments?
I had a question. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I had a question about the workshop. I wanted to ask, so if we can't make it on the 13th, you said it's going to be recorded, but like, how can it be accessed?
You know, Sorik, you always ask the best questions and add the best comments, and always have me thinking far ahead. Such a good question. I think what I'm going to be doing is letting this be like a way for people to learn a little bit more about how these workshops work. So this one will be like a free thing as an example. So
okay.
I'll take care of you. Don't worry. You got it. I got you. Cheryl, it's nice to see you here. Hey, Sarah. Hey, Cameron. Ara. Any questions, comments? Does this resonate with what is happening in your life right now? Anyone?
Can I talk? Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's definitely resonating. My mind's spinning. Did you say there were handouts to this that you were offering?
There are handouts. I offer this little guide that I call the playbook,
Mhm.
which is the slides that I was kind of walking through, like a little workbook. And we can definitely talk about whether that's something that you're interested in. And you will get a recording. So there's a follow-up so that you can come back and rewatch it and pause the slides and like watch the planets move and things like that.
Okay, because I'm not, I'm not an astrologer, and all the information sounds really important, and it's it's fast. There's a lot going on. It's exciting, it's challenging, it's everything you're saying. So
It is.
I don't know. I'm moving with the planets, that's for sure. Nobody knows me here, but I just moved from New York, and I'm in a major shift. And so I'm listening carefully.
Showing up in very different places. Well, it's so great to have you. Welcome.
Thank you. It was great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, you guys, as always, reach out if you have any questions. It's so good to see all of you. And good luck. I'm excited to see what you all have going on in terms of your changes. It's restructuring for the good, right? It's all good. Okay. Well, have a wonderful day. The replay will be out probably tomorrow. And I'll talk to you all soon. I hope you feel prepared to move through these next 2 weeks easily and with your awareness open to all the possibilities for your growth and restructuring. Remember that everything is connected. And by the time Mercury starts to move forward on May 14th, you'll have a lot more clarity about where you want to be, with whom, with what tools and attachments. So just open that awareness and take in what's being offered to you. Be gentle with yourself in every way possible. And if you're interested in joining me for the webinar on breaking the barriers to your growth on Saturday, May 13th, just hit the link below in the YouTube description, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.